Hey everyone, welcome to your Vinyasa practice. We are going to shift our focus this month just a little bit um, in terms of adding on the work that we've done with our breath. So keeping in mind that foundation that you've been working on for the past 4 to 5 weeks of establishing a deep, slow, rhythmic breath in and out through the nose, and adding on some elements of asana. So this month in particular, we'll focus on the back bend. What is it like to breathe in a back bend? What does that mean for the spine? What does that mean for the rib cage, diaphragm? I think back bending in terms of a physical practice can be daunting or scary for some people because it feels like going upside down, like an inversion. And when we stop breathing in a deep, slow way, we can kick ourselves into sympathetic nervous system response, that fight or flight. So I'd like to approach a back bend from that perspective of not in terms of like how far you can get into your back bend, the arch of the back bend, but rather distributing the back bend along the whole spine. So not like for me, for example, I have a really pronounced curve in my lumbar spine. It's very easy for me to dump way into my lumbar spine, and that means I'm not distributing that back bend throughout my upper back, right? So rather than really overarching, I'm concentrating on lifting up and out of my rib cage and back bending more from my thoracic spine, less from my lumbar spine. So we'll think about the breath and that distribution of back bend this month. With all that said, we're going to start out seated. At some point in our practice, it might be helpful to have a strap. It might be helpful to have wall space. So if you want those things around you, or you know you want to go get them at some point, just keeping that in mind. You can sit however you're comfortable. I'm going to sit on a block. You could do the same, or you could do something different. We'll spend a few moments here dropping in and breathing. I welcome you to close your eyes or keep them open, keep a soft gaze. Rest your elbows alongside your body softly, roll your shoulders up and back. Sit up nice and tall. Begin to just breathe in and out through the nose. You can think back to that idea of 5 count inhale, 5 count exhale. We practiced that a lot last month. It was a measured inhale and exhale, nice and slow, in and out through the nose. And we'll see if we can make that the foundation of our practice, that inhale, that exhale through the nose, that nice, slow, deep belly breathing. And then we'll add on some arms. So we'll inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. As arms get overhead, you can interlace your fingers and then turn your palms to face upward. And so pressing the palms towards the ceiling, but then notice the tendency to want to overarch through the low back. Can you kind of knit the front of the ribs in and really just elongate the spine? And then maybe start to tick-tock your body side to side. So I'm letting my palms kind of lead the way, moving them side to side. And I'm still thinking about hugging my navel in, knitting my front rib cage down towards my pelvis. So I'm trying to already distribute that sense of spinal work throughout the whole spine. Let's come back through center. You can release your arms down alongside your body. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And then we'll come into our first downward facing dog. We'll take a few moments here to just strengthen the shoulders, elongate the whole back body, get a sense of rooting down through the hands, the whole hand palm. So remember that grip is a little bit grippy through the fingertips, pressing down through the thumb and the index finger knuckle mounds. And not collapsing in the wrists or the elbows or the shoulders, but actively pressing the floor away in your downward facing dog. And then simultaneously relax your head and feel free to start to bend the knees right and left if you haven't done so already.
And just notice what your back body feels like here. Notice what your shoulders feel like here. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. Nice and slow, in and out through the nose. And then from our downward facing dog, we'll just step our right foot forward between our hands and lower the left knee to the mat. You can untuck your back toes if you like, pressing down through the big toe mound of the back foot, and then sweep the arms forward and up. And again, we'll interlace the fingers to the webbing, turn the palms so they're facing the ceiling, and think about elongating through the rib cage, elongating through the upper back. And then squeeze your left glute as you shift your hips forward and down. And then maybe layer on a bit of a back bend here by just looking up towards the ceiling and kind of moving the hands back behind your head slightly, or in that direction. They might not get behind your head. Deep breath in here. And then exhale, release the hands, plant the palms, step back, downward facing dog. Relax your head here, press the floor away, root down through the whole palm, stay strong through the shoulders, through the whole arm. And now let's step our left foot forward. Lower the right knee to the mat. You can untuck your back toes, press down through the back toe, the top of the back toenail, okay? So you're on the top of that back foot. And then as you sweep your arms forward and up, interlacing the fingers to the webbing once more, flip the palms to face up towards the ceiling. And then see if you can engage that right glute. So it's like you're staying really active in that back thigh and glute as you shift the hips forward and down. First, find that elongation through the spine, that big breath in, and then maybe layer on the back bend. As you exhale, you can start to lean the arms back, lean the head back. Think about lifting up through the chest. And then we'll release the hands nice and slow, plant the palms, downward facing dog. Let's take 3 deep breaths in downward facing dog. One last round through this low lunge with an added layer. So stepping the right foot forward, lower the left knee, untuck the toes. Sweep the arms forward and up, interlacing the hands. And then right away as you inhale, you might lift your gaze. You might sweep your hands back behind you a little bit, squeezing your left glutes. Lower the hips forward and down. And then release the hands, just come to your fingertips. And then see if you can get a little bit longer through that back leg. So stay in your low lunge, your left knee is still down. And then option here to root through your left hand as you bend your left knee. Sweep your right hand back. Maybe you're going to catch a hold of the ankle. And again, this is where you might want to strap. Like if the foot's too far away and there's a big gap between the right hand and the left foot, you can lasso that foot up with a strap and then a little bit bend that right elbow to pull that heel towards the glute. Take one more deep breath in here. And then release that foot nice and slow. Come back to downward facing dog. We'll take 3 deep breaths in downward facing dog. Keep pressing the floor away. Keep engaging your fingertips. Stay strong through the arms and the shoulders. Relax your head. And then stepping your left foot forward between your hands, lower your right knee, untuck the back toes, sweep the arms forward and up, interlacing the fingers to the webbing, palms face the ceiling. And then right away, as you inhale, lifting the head, and then moving the hands back just a little bit. And then releasing out of that back bend, just bring the fingertips forward.
Stay rooted through your right fingertips. Start to bend your right knee, reaching back with your left hand, either lassoing that up with a strap or a towel or anything that you have at your disposal, or you can capture the right hand around the left foot. Take one more deep breath here. And then we'll release that right leg nice and slow, planting both palms at the top of the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here, 2 breaths in your down dog. Next inhale breath, shift forward to high plank and pause in your high plank. We'll take 1 full breath cycle here. So again, that's that inhale for 5 counts. And then stay for your exhale, 5 counts. And then we'll come all the way down onto the belly and we'll move through a few rounds of locust pose. So we'll sweep those feet back, pointing the toes back behind us, sweeping the arms back in the same direction, reaching back with the fingertips and the toes. Inhale, lift your head and your chest, stretch your legs up and back. Big breath in. So engage your triceps here, engage your hamstrings, your glutes, to lift almost everything off the mat. Just about the pelvis and maybe the lower rib cage is lifted. In contact with the mat. And then exhale, lower, forehead to touch. And inhale, lift, stretch the arms back, lift the feet up and back. Maybe you take your hands together, interlace them to the webbing. Again, you can use a strap here if the hands don't reach one another. Reaching back through your knuckles, broadening across your chest. See if you can get one more rib cage off the mat. And then exhale, lower and release. Press into your hands and knees. Option to shift back to child's pose or all the way up to downward facing dog, and we'll take 2 breaths. If you're in child's pose, let's meet in downward facing dog. I'm going to take our little lunge series and add on to it. So from down dog, your right foot steps forward. This time we're going to take a high lunge. So you're going to leave that left knee lifted and engaged as you sweep the arms forward and up. This time interlace the fingers to the webbing, but re-extend through the index fingers and press the palms together. Squeeze the biceps alongside the ears. Lengthen through that back leg, shift forward to the ball mound of the left foot. Deep bend in that right knee. Big breath in. Think about lifting up through the rib cage, up through the shoulders, up through the fingertips. And then stay in your low lunge or your high lunge with your legs and just bring your hands together at the heart. And then shift forward in your torso. Rotate that left elbow towards the outer right thigh. So staying in your high lunge, but just adding on a layer of a twist. That left elbow can connect to the outer right thigh. You can use it like a little tourniquet, like a little external lever to rotate just a little bit more. Think about reaching through the crown of the head towards the top of your yoga mat. Let's unwind out of this twist. We're going to come into warrior one from here. So that left foot, stamp it nice and flat at the back of your mat. Maybe widen your right foot out to the side. Keep that deep bend in the right knee. Stay rooted through the back left foot. Re-extend your arms up and overhead. Find that grip again where you're interlacing the fingers and extending the index fingers, and then maybe layer on a back bend here. So the head can lift and look back. The index fingers can point back behind you, lifting up through the chest. Try to feel that distribution of arch through the whole spine. And then come out of this nice and slow. Plant the palms top of the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Just keep it simple, down dog. 3 breaths. And we'll just do the second side. We're going to step our left foot forward into that high lunge. So that right knee stays lifted, the right leg stays really active and engaged. Left knee really bent here, arms sweep out and up. Interlace those fingers, find that same grip you just had on the other side. Reaching up through the index fingers, squeeze the side of the ears with the biceps, get really nice and long through the spine. Big breath in, big breath out. And then just release your hands to prayer in front of your heart. Start to shift forward with the torso. Turn and rotate the torso towards your left hip. Right elbow can hook to the outer left thigh. And if you've got that contact, you can kind of use that right elbow without letting your left knee collapse in to find a little bit of an external lever, a little bit more rotation while maintaining the length of the spine, reach the crown of the head forward. Big breath in, big breath out. Keep your legs as they are, but unwind the spine and then re-engage the hands, interlace them, plant that right foot flat. So warrior 2 legs. Maybe that left foot moves out to the left side. Re-extend the arms up and overhead. And then here in warrior 1, did I say warrior 2? I meant warrior 1. Sorry if I'm confusing you today. Okay, so warrior 1 legs. That means the torso, shoulders are shifting forward towards the top of your mat, but your right foot is flat at a 45-degree angle. Arms are overhead. Maybe you're layering on that back bend here while lifting up through the chest. Index fingers can start to point back behind you. And then release out of warrior 1. Plant the palms top of the mat. Let's take a moment to hang out here in downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Send the breath into the back of the rib cage, into the low back. Shift forward, high plank. Take a full breath cycle here. Inhale for a count of 5. Exhale for a count of 5. You can take a nice slow lower through chaturanga if you like, but land all the way on the belly. And then separate your feet as wide as your mat. Come to the tops of your feet. Press down through your hands. Inhale, lift your heart like low cobra. Squeeze your elbows close into the sides of your waist. And then if it makes sense for your low back, like if your low back feels pretty good, you can press into your hands and straighten out through your arms. See if you can keep your pelvis pretty close to the mat. Pressing through the palms, maybe you look over your right shoulder, see your feet behind you. Keep that same pressure in the hands as you rotate the head over the left shoulder, see your feet behind you. Come back through center, bending your elbows, release all the way back to the mat. Tuck your toes under, press up to high plank, downward facing dog. And then in your downward facing dog, we're gonna come all the way onto the back body for a few rounds of bridge pose with an option for Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is wheel. So however you want to make your way to your back, you can. If you want to move through Vinyasa flow, great. If you want to hop your feet forward, crossing at your ankles and see if you can land on your sits bones to come down, great. Just start to make your way to your back body. And once you're on your back, bend your knees and plant your feet. Arms down alongside the body, palms facing down. Pressing into your feet, inhale, lift your hips up. Squeezing the glutes together, stay rooted through all 4 points of the feet, and a little bit even grip the mat with your toes. Walk the shoulders closer together underneath your spine. And then maybe see if you can interlace the fingers to the webbing here, pressing down through the pinky edge of the palm. Deep breath in. Now here in this variation of your bridge pose, can you feel the distribution of the back bend through your spine? Can you feel your deep belly breath? If you have that bind with your hands, start to release it and then uncurl the spine, release it all the way back to the mat. Just take a moment, pause here. You can heel to your feet wide on your mat. Knock your knees in towards one another. Just take a moment, take a beat. Second round of bridge pose or first round of Urdhva Dhanurasana. If you're taking Urdhva Dhanurasana and you know what to do, feel free to set that up. If you've never done Urdhva Dhanurasana before, you feel scared about it, I'm going to walk you through that step by step. If you want to skip Urdhva Dhanurasana altogether and do a second round of bridge pose again, please feel free to just walk through those steps we just went through. Okay, so for Urdhva Dhanurasana, if you're coming with me, hands plant right above the shoulders and the fingertips point towards the shoulders. So thumbs are pointing in towards the neck, pinky edges of the palm are pointing out towards the outer edge of your mat. Elbows are pointing up towards the ceiling. From here, press into your feet, lift your hips up. And then if you haven't done Urdhva Dhanurasana before, see if you can press enough into your hands to come to the top of your head. So it takes a little bit of engaging the big back muscles, the lats, to get to this place. And notice how that feels in the spine, and can you breathe here? And does it feel like a good idea to press straight through the arms? And if it does, can you get the arms straight? And if that feels good, can you lift your heels up and just start to press a little bit into the ball mounds of the feet to get the chest to move forward towards the wrists. If you're taking Urdhva Dhanurasana there, take a break. So let your elbows bend, let yourself come back to the back of your head, and then lower all the way back to the mat. Just come back to that starting place. Feet wide, knees can knock in or knees can sway side to side. We're going to move through one more back bend. Again, your options: bridge pose like we did the first round, Urdhva Dhanurasana prep coming to the top of the head, or Urdhva Dhanurasana coming all the way up, straightening through the arms and lifting the heels up and pressing the chest towards the top of your mat. Okay, so if you want to try this again, just take it slow and be willing to stop anywhere along the way. Like, okay, I want to get off the bus now, let me off. Feel free to do that. You don't have to take it all the way. Second round of Urdhva Dhanurasana, palms flat above the shoulders, fingertips pointing towards the shoulders, thumbs in, pinkies out. Pressing into your feet, lifting the hips up. Press into your hands enough to make space to come to the top of the head. It does require some strength in the shoulders and the back. Okay, and then if you're there, can you press the arms straight? See how that feels. If you need to come out, tuck the chin, get to the back of the head first, and then release the spine. If you're in Urdhva Dhanurasana with the arms straight, maybe lift the heels and press the chest forward towards the top of your mat. In your back bend, can you feel the length of the spine distribute all the way up the upper back? Can you breathe? If you're still in your back bend, start to release out, bending the elbows, tuck the chin, come to the back of the head first, and then release the spine. So when you come back to your back body, again, everyone, feet wide, knees bent, and then just sway the knees side to side. If you haven't done this yet, try it. Sway the knees side to side. The next shape will be a supine twist. So we'll stay on your back. We'll hug that right knee into the chest. Lengthen out through the left leg. So right knee hugs in, lengthen out through the left leg. Squeeze that right knee towards the right armpit. Press that left heel down into the mat and forward. And then keep your left hand wrapped around your right leg. Extend your right arm off to the right side. Pull your right knee across your body, roll onto your left hip. You can always use props underneath that inner right leg, blocks, pillows, blankets. See if you can maintain broadening across the chest, both shoulders pressing down into the mat. The head can rotate towards your right hand, but it doesn't have to. See if you can find that deep belly breath here. For those of you that want a little IT band lengthening, that's the outer right thigh. You could press that right leg towards straight. And if your hand can reach it, your left hand can grab the outer right foot. Again, you could use a strap here too to find that bind. Let's take 2 more breaths. Start to unwind, come back through center. One more time, hug that right knee in towards the chest. Give it a little squeeze. And then extend your right leg long. And then start to hug your left knee into the chest. And just take a moment here with this shape as it is. Left knee moves towards that left armpit. Keep your right fingertips wrapped around the shin as you extend your left arm off to the left. Pulling the knee across the body until you roll towards your right hip, while maintaining that broad chest, shoulders on the mat. Using any props underneath that inner left knee or ankle. And then if you like, you could rotate your gaze off to the left hand. If you want that outer IT band stretch, the outer left thigh stretch, you could reach down with a strap or your right hand and catch hold of the outer left foot. Maybe see if you can press that left leg towards straight. And it doesn't have to get all the way straight. Both legs can bend here. Whatever you're doing, can you find your breath? Slow, deep breathing. 2 more breaths. And then slowly start to unwind. One more time, hugging the left knee in towards the chest. And then we'll settle into a Shavasana. We'll take about a 1-minute Shavasana. Unless you have more time in your day to take that, please feel free. But I'll set us a timer here for 1 minute. Relax your shoulders on your back, slightly tilt your chin in. Deep breath through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale the air out. Let your body rest. Let your bones be heavy, muscles relax. Please feel free to stay in your Shavasana longer if you have more time. If you need to come out, begin to awaken, stretch the arms overhead, breathe into the length of your body. You can bend the knees and roll off to the side to press up to a final upright seat. Just taking a few moments here to grow tall through the spine. Relax the shoulders, soften the elbows. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Continue deep belly breathing. In closing our practice, I invite you to join me in bringing your hands together at your heart, bowing your chin into your chest for a moment of reverence and gratitude for the practice. May you use the fruits of this practice to serve your highest good. Share it with those around you that you love and who could use healing. May we remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed your practice as always. If you have any feedback, questions, or comments, please feel free to email me, tessa@tessatovar.com. And I hope you come back again soon.